and welcome to the Republica Unicornia podcast. I'm Kathleen. I am the head yarn wench of Republica Unicornia. I am an independent yarn dyer, bag maker. I make my own clothes. I get up to all kinds of creative, fun, chaotic trouble. So that is what we're going to be talking about. If you are returning, welcome back. It's good to see y'all. If you are new, welcome. Before we jump into all of the stuff, and there is a lot of stuff, just a little fair dues warning. There may be some, mild to moderate swearing. I don't censor my language, so if that is offensive to you, you might want to keep moving. Also, if you are looking for a soothing, calming, gentle knitting podcast, this is not it. But if you are a fan of hyperactive Chihuahua crafting energy, welcome. Settle in, grab your knitting, crochet, embroidery, whatever. Also, a beverage. I am, you want to see hyperactive Chihuahua, caffeinated hyperactive Chihuahua. I am finishing the last of my coffee in my, I feel like such a YouTuber when I do this, but this mug is absolutely beautiful. It is from a new and local-ish to me potter called The Potter's Touch. I will link below. More YouTube stuff. And I got lipstick all over it because I did. But also red is sticky. I bought this at her most recent update after my own shop update. And I was actually there for a green mug because I love green and I don't have a lot of green pottery mugs. And this brown one, of all things, caught my eye. It's got like the most beautiful, it's got like some ivory in it, it's got some slate blue in it, it's got brown in it. The bottom is this matte speckled glaze, which I love so much. I basically dyed a colorway about this kind of pottery glaze. Toasted marshmallow, my colorway toasted marshmallow looks a lot like this. Anyway, it's beautiful. It's like the perfect size. It has this like little thumb rest. It just feels really good. I haven't even used the green one yet because I'm obsessed with this one. So we're like down to the dregs of my latte. I make a big deal about being a tea drinker, which I am. I'm definitely like, my identity is a tea drinker, but I definitely have coffee every morning. Last little bit. So grab your bevy. We have lots to talk about today. Not so much on the self-promotion front, because I don't. But I do have quite a bit of knitting and sewing stuff to talk about. So this is actually my second attempt recording this podcast. The first one, the sound cut out 10 minutes in. So I really, really hope this works. I did it yesterday and I got done and I was like, oh shit. So I'm back. So if I seem a little bizarre, more bizarre than usual, that's why. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with my knitting works in progress. I have been knitting some. I'm always knitting some. When am I not? So we're going to go ahead and start with that. So we're going to do knitting whips, knitting finished objects, and then sewing stuff. And there is sewing stuff to talk about. So I'm excited. So let's go ahead and just start with our knitting. So I love cardigans. I finished a couple things, so I have some new cast-ons. And I'm burping because I'm me. Gross. Look, in the first draft of this, I talked about my leg hair for like 30 minutes, so a little burping is actually probably preferable. Anyway, so I have a couple new cast-ons. So this is, and I'm going to talk about the yarn first because maybe there is a little bit of shameless self-promotion. I have had this yarn set aside for a cardigan for a year now, and I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. And finally, I figured out what I wanted to do. So we're going to start with the yarn. I like that I'm being all suspenseful. Also, I'm so sad. This My Little Pony fabric is not available anymore. And I'm really glad I snagged a bag because also it's pink. It's like real pink. I have a skirt made out of this in blue too. Anyway. Okay. Yarn. This is on the Pure BFL base. This is St. Mary Mead 235. It is named for and inspired by Miss Marple. St. Mary Mead 235 is Miss Marple's phone number. And if you are not familiar, Miss Marple is an Agatha Christie character. She is a very wry, observant old lady who solves mysteries and also knits like a lot. Like knitting is part of her personality, and people don't take her seriously because she's an older woman who knits. And I love this energy. So St. Mary Mead 235 is it's actually maybe a little pinker than it's showing up here. It is a dusty, like a true dusty rose. Like a lot, there's some brown in it. Like it's not an aggressive sweet pink. It's got some brown in it. It's actually, there's a cardigan that in the latest reboot of Miss Marple that Miss Marple wears that is a lace cardigan that is sort of this like line between brown and pink, and that's kind of what I was going for. It's a little more pink than the one in the show, but I love it. So it's this like dusty mauve color, and it has, I don't know if you can see, here's where I just fight this, okay. I don't know if you can see. It has some speckles that are like a wine color. It has some golden speckles. So it's not just semi-solid, it's got some other stuff going on in it. I am notoriously fussy about pink. I don't like really, as the person with the pink My Little Pony bag. But as far as wearing, like I'm not gonna ever wear bubblegum pink or like anything real, I don't know, like very sweet. But I do love dusty rose colors, so I thought I needed this. I feel like it's the pink for redheads. Like this is the shade that redheads need to wear. And I don't have a lot of this in my wardrobe. I have a t-shirt that's almost this exact same color, and I love it. And I was like, I'm gonna make a cardigan out of it. So that's what this is. So the cardigan I am making is the Honey Bop cardigan by Poison Grrls. Again, I will link in the show notes. I promise you'll be able to find all this stuff. I made one of these maybe 2 years ago, and I love it, but I made it to replace a very well-loved ready-to-wear cardigan that was a really, really bright emerald Kelly green. And I love that cardigan. I wore it for years. And so I was like, well, I'll just make one in this, I'll just make my own in the same color because it had holes in it. Like it was dead. And then I made this cardigan. I love it. It has vintage buttons on it. It's beautiful. The fit is lovely, but it's not a color I wear anymore. It's too bright for all of the clothes that I make. Because apparently left to my own devices, my color palette's a little more toned down than I would have guessed that it was. So that is, what in the hell? Oh, we have stitches off the needles. I really should just use needle protectors, but I forget to put them on. So anyway, so I've wanted this cardigan because oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. The styling is perfect. That is not the cardigan that I'm wearing now. This is another designer whose designs I love, but pattern writing, all of it, I absolutely loathe. So I actually choose not to promote this designer because I don't want y'all to, I don't want to give free publicity. And I don't want any of y'all to hate knitting this like I did. So anyway, so it is it says 1950s, but I think it can totally work for like early 40s, which is my whole jam at the moment. It is a puff sleeve. I'm putting stitches back on the needles because superwash yarn is slippier. So it is it has puff sleeves, so it's like a 1950s. It's a very, very fitted sort of, it's got waist shaping, so it's got a lot of shaping. It's not a boxy fit, which I love. And it has puff sleeves, and there's different sleeve options. So the one that I made has 3/4 sleeves. I think I'm gonna do this one with long sleeves because if it is cold enough for me to wear wool, it's probably cold enough for me to have long sleeves on. So I think that's the one that I'm going to do sleeve wise. It's a very, like the shaping is, you have to pay attention. This is not a mindless project. It's knit top down. It starts, you do like shoulders and you join, just magic stuff happens. So I have gotten through, I cast this on maybe like a week and a half ago. My elbow is still acting up a teeny bit, so I'm trying not to overdo it. So right now we're in the crop top vest stage, and this is not going to look attractive, but I promise it really is beautiful. Oh, it's V-neck. So it's a V-neck. It's just a really lovely garment, and I've wanted another one for years and finally decided to do it. I tend to not want to knit cardigans flat, not because I hate purling, but because my tension is really different with purling, which is why I tend to do steeked cardigans. This is not one you can steek, and I wanted to use superwash wool, and I'm inherently too chicken to steek superwash, so that is what is going on here. So here it is. So this is the top shoulder, so you can see, and you can see where the V-neck is. And so it's just, right now it's just body waist shaping stuff and then bottom rib and then you do sleeves. Nope. Then you do sleeves and then I can't remember the order of operations. But anyway, I'm very excited to add it. I wear a lot of chocolate brown and so it will look good with that. So there's what the yarn looks like. Just like a thing about my hand-dyed yarn, I do recommend that you alternate skeins. I play fast and loose with that myself. So what I usually do instead of alternating skeins, which again, depending on the colorway that you're using, like a super variegated yarn, if you don't want pooling, you're gonna need to alternate skeins. Like if you look at the skein and it has like color blocks, and some of my colorways do, I'm always happy to help, by the way. So just let me know if you have questions. But if you hate pooling, which is where you get like spiral effects and things like that in plain stockinette garments, stick to a colorway that doesn't have a ton of variation. I dye a lot of these because I'm a garment knitter. And so this one doesn't, I mean, it has some variation in it. It's not going to look like it's one color because it's not, but you're not going to get like zigzaggy things that can happen if you knit stockinette with a super variegated yarn. So just a little tip. So I actually play, because look, if it does bad stuff, it's my own fault. Like not only because I didn't alternate skeins, but because I actually dyed the yarn. So I play fast and loose. I don't want you to be unhappy, but if I'm unhappy, it's my own damn problem. So what I usually do is I will work to almost the end, and then I'll kind of I will start striping the next skein in. And so that can, if you do that for a while, and if I'm doing in the round, I'll do what's called helical knitting. And so I'll kind of fade that skein in so that transition isn't abrupt, where you can get issues even if I am your friendly neighborhood dyer and I'm kind of compulsive about everything. If you just like finish the skein and join a new skein, you can get, if there's a difference in dye lots, which they're not even dye lots in the same pan. I have no control over what happens and how dye strikes each individual skein. Like that's not something I can control for. So definitely, like if you just start a new skein, you run the risk of having weird stuff happen. Alternating skeins can also help break up those variegated yarns or things that are highly speckled, or there's some things you can do. I always think it's funny when people complain that hand-dyed yarn, like it's a failure of the skill of the dyer that hand-dyed yarn does certain things. No, it just does certain things because of how dye strikes fiber and also just how the process works. So if you are super picky about stuff like that, hand-dyed yarn is not necessarily your thing. Commercial yarn, you can just add new skeins whenever you want, however you want. So anyway, this is the Honey Bob cardigan. I'm enjoying it. I'm ready to have the thing. I have been practicing something with this one that I don't know that I like, which is, again, I don't hate purling. It's just that my tension is really different. I'm a continental knitter, so my purls are always way looser than my knits. So I've been trying knitting backwards or mirror knitting, which is like you knit the right side row normally, and then you like literally, you don't turn your work. You basically go back the other way and do it the other way. I was hoping this would kind of break up wrist or elbow strain and things like that. It doesn't seem to because of the way that you have to wrap the yarn. I'm actually using because I'm a continental knitter, so I'm using my left arm more, so I'm not sure it works, but it's a good thing to know how to do. There's a Very Pink Knits tutorial on it if you would like to watch. So anyway, there's my cardigan. I am really excited about it. I'm not sure I'm gonna finish it before it's too hot to wear it. We're in winter. It was super warm in February here, and we're back in sort of late winter, which like I live in Georgia. Late winter is like 60, but it's still cool enough for me to, my studio is 55 degrees right now, so I am wearing a sweater, but I don't think I'm gonna finish this in time, but who knows. Okay, so that is that cardigan, so that's gonna go back in the bag. Also, I'm about to shake the table because I was sliding off my chair. Very professional. So the other cast on that I have is a vest. So I am highly obsessed with vintage style knitwear. I am inherently too chicken to actually work with vintage patterns. I knit a lot, but I've only been knitting for 6 years. And there's some sort of technique, historicals, and I learned on modern patterns, so there's like some historical technique stuff that I'm just a little chicken about. And sizing is always a thing, and yarns are different. I mean, it can be a whole thing. So a lot of vintage patterns call for 3-ply, which is not a widely available yarn weight. Anyway, it's a whole thing. So I want the vintage style, but I want modern patterns. This is how I feel about sewing too, which we will get to. But I'm really, really grateful. Susan Crawford is a British knitwear designer, and she specializes in vintage style knits, but she also rewrites, regrades, basically re-engineers vintage knitting patterns. And her stuff is so beautiful. And one of the reasons that she says that she started doing this is she couldn't find vintage knitting patterns that fit her. If you look at vintage knitting and often vintage sewing patterns, the size range is incredibly limited. And knitting stuff, it's like one size. So if you're not a 34-inch bust, you're SOL, which is like kind of a lot of people. So Susan Crawford does such a beautiful job just working with these patterns and making sure that they work for modern knitters, which I really appreciate. She has a series of books. She also has a yarn company. She has a series of books called A Stitch in Time, and there's the first two ones are sort of, I don't remember, there's like date ranges. Lovely stuff. But the third one, which is ongoing, is all color work, which is like vintage knits plus color work. I just like lose my mind. And so, God, my hair, just pause in this. I have bobby pins in, so it's out of my face. And so, okay, there we go. So the A Stitch in Time 3, it is not released as a whole book yet, but you can sign up on her website and you it's not, I think it was $30, but it is a lot of patterns. And as each pattern is released, you get a PDF of it. So I think there's 7, 8 so far, and it's over a period of time. So it's just this delightful thing shows up in your inbox. I want to make almost everything. It is, and it's one will come out and I'll be super excited about it, and then the next one will come out and I'm like, oh gosh. So I'll be busy for a while, which is great. This is one of the earlier ones, and I believe these patterns are only available as part of the ebook. And they are graded up to, I think, a 60-inch bust, which again, vintage patterns, 34, your SOL, is really good. So I wanted to do a colorwork vest that was a little less complicated. Not hard, just less color work than the one that I've been doing. Again, my poor elbow. I have to really watch it. So this is part of me watching it. So this is the Peggy Vest. Again, link below. This is the Peggy Vest, and it is a less, there's the color work bands. It's all over color work, but there's a lot of just plain stockinette. And I'm trying really hard, relatively hard this year, to work from stash. Not because I believe in austerity or diet culture, weird stuff around my craft supplies, but because I have all this really beautiful stuff that I would like to use. And so I've been doing okay with fabric and pretty freaking good with yarn. So that's something. So I decided, usually when I knit color work things, my go-to is oatmeal main color, contrast colors. And I have the colors that I love, but my main color is always oatmeal because I wear it with everything. I've always loved an ivory sweater. However, I was like, I want this to look a little different. So I picked out from my stash one of my beloved yarns. Sometimes I get precious about stuff that's widely available, but Harrisville's been out of stock of this color for a while. It's back, but they've been out of stock for a while, and I wanted it to be the right thing because it's one of my favorite colors. This is Harrisville Shetland in Garnet. It is actually lighter than it is showing up. It is the perfect burgundy. It is the heather colors in it are there's a red. Oh, I think it's a multiple. There's a red. You can see red and wine and a purple, and it has a lot of depth to it. It really is. It's much lighter than showing up here. It's just not gonna work. It's just one of my favorite colors to wear, and I love this, and I decided this was gonna be my main color. And I thought I was being so adventurous. And my friend Emily was like, oh, burgundy, revolutionary. I really love burgundy, but I don't have a burgundy vest. So look, I am branching out. So it's not the most exciting progress shot. It's ribbing, so it is 9 centimeters, whatever that is. I really prefer centimeter. I mean, I prefer the metric system anyway because it makes more sense. But centimeters in knitting it's just so much more exact. So it's just ribbing so far, and on very tiny needles. These are, I think, US 1. So what is the US 1? 2.5 millimeter? I don't know. I'm a dumb American. So this is going to be the main color, and contrast colors. Grab those out of my bag. My bag has cats and weed on it. I made it. Okay, so contrast colors, and I can't remember what I decided. I really hope I wrote it down. But these are going to be the contrast colors. So this will be the main color, and these will be the contrast colors. These two are Marie Wallen British Breeds. If you are interested in sort of stranded color work knitting, but find yarns like Rauma, Phenol Garn, and Harrisville Shetland, and Jameson Smith a little too sheepy, scratchy, rustic, whatever words you want to use for those, I really do recommend the Marie Wallen. It's a little on the expansive side for a commercial yarn, but it is a blend of British sheep breeds, including my beloved Blueface Leicester. John Arbin spins it, so it's from Devon, and it's not scratchy. Like it's wool, and it works. It's grippy enough to work in color work. I've steeked it without a problem, but it is a much softer yarn than some of the other commercial rusticy yarns that I use, but it still works really well in color work. So this is the Willow colorway. This is a new one. It's the yellow version of my favorite green, and then this one is Mallard, I think. Yeah. Old lady eyes. Last time I was at the eye doctor, I was like, wait, I'm really nearsighted. I've worn glasses since I was 7. And I was like, wait, I'm having trouble reading stuff up close. Like I'm nearsighted and farsighted at the same time. How is this possible? So like my perfect, we all get older. It happens. So, and then this is Harrisville Shetland Oatmeal. So those are going to be my contrast colors. So again, not in a huge hurry with this. But gosh, this garnet colorway. It's just one of my favorites. So that'll be lovely. Very excited about that. So just some like low-key, low-pressure, vintage-style knits. Nothing is green, which is kind of a miracle, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm sort of leaning into my pinks and reds, which is unusual for me. So I'm going to talk about whips. Finished objects. So we have a slight fail, but it's fixable. So I finished my Seaweed Slipover. So here it is. I've been working on this. This was my New Year's Eve cast on. So I've been working on it for a while. It's an all over colorwork vest. However, I did not read the pattern. Totally on me. The pattern is great. I did not read the pattern. I did not realize how long it was. A couple of things. One, I know this about myself, but I don't correct for it because usually I knit top-down things. My row gauge must be super loose. This pattern called for it to be 14 inches from the underarm. Mine is like 15, 16. It's a lot. I think it might actually be closer to 16. So there's that. Also, a 14 inch from the underarm is way too long for me. I am a petite human. I am short-waisted. I think I'm short-waisted anyway. And so like I'm 5'2". Most of my not considerable height is in my legs, and there's just not a lot of distance between my natural waist and my shoulders. This is something and I'll talk about this more in a second, but I run into this all the time with sewing patterns, with ready-to-wear clothes, with all kinds of stuff. So I really need to make my garments not much longer than like 12 or 13 inches. So we have a good bit of extra length on here, and it's bottom up, so it's not like I can just unravel it and re-knit ribbing. I would really love to know the benefit of bottom up knitting. Like, I feel like most of my frustrations have been around bottom up garment construction, just in general. I mean, I don't know. Maybe for the vest, it's something with the steeks. I don't know. I'm not a designer. So, but I am not going to just deal with this. So I tried it on. So it's like 16 inches is like halfway down my butt. It is a dress. And I'm not going to wear it because it doesn't it doesn't look good on my body. But there is a thing you can do, which I have never done before. So I'm going to have to do some surgery. So what you do based on the videos that I've watched, and I have not started it, and I'm going to probably have to steel my nerves, is you basically pick up stitches, I think kind of like when you do an afterthought heel. So you pick up stitches where you want it to go, and then you basically cut it and unravel it, and then reknit the knitting, or reknit the ribbing like it's a top down, if that makes sense. It kind of makes sense. So I'm going to have to do that on this before I can wear it, which is kind of a bummer because it's really cute, but it's worth doing that too. And you know what? It's on me. I didn't read the pattern carefully. I was really concentrating on like color work and weaving in ends. I mean, there's a lot going on, right? And so it's just going to have to be taken care of before I can wear it. But it really is lovely. And it's cute on. It'll be cute. I mean, it'll be way cuter when it's not a ridiculous dress. Let me show you how long it is. We'll see if we can do this and how far I get back. I might lose sound because I don't have a fancy microphone. It's so long. It's so long. So anyway, that's going to be a whole thing. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not real worried about it. Like the yarn I think this is Harrisville. I think it's more the Harrisville oatmeal. It's not going anywhere, so like it's just, I'm gonna have to just do it. So speaking of my totally cocked up rogue age, I have a finished object. It's okay. I finished my Ribblesdale vest. This is by Lily Kate Designs. Lily. Oh my gosh. I really need to just write it down. I don't know if I've heard of this. So anyway, so this is I will link below because I'm dumb. This is the Ribblesdale vest, and I knit it in my own yarn. Both of these are the colorway Wine Sap. It is the Polwarth Silk DK, sadly discontinued, and Surrey Silk Floof. So it's held double. It's called for worsted weight yarn. So maybe even an Aran. I held it double. So actually, there's a couple of things. So I think I talked about this the last time I talked about my actual knitting, is I noticed that as I got up here, the arm side was going to be frickin' enormous, and it is indeed frickin' enormous. So that happened, and so I finished it, and I tried it on. I went ahead and finished all of it. I put buttons on. There's a ribbon on the button band that has robins on it. Like, I did all the things, and I tried it on, and I didn't love it. It just feels too chunky, too big. It doesn't fit in the shoulder. Like it just didn't fit me very well. And I kind of knew that was going to happen as soon as I started figuring stuff out for the arm side. And there's a couple of things. One, my row gauge is probably at work here again. Like I said, I am short-waisted and I am petite. So in sewing patterns, this is something I've learned from sewing. In sewing patterns and anything that is sleeveless, and also in ready-to-wear clothes, I've always had to have this alteration made. Usually I had, like when I was buying ready-to-wear clothes, if I bought anything sleeveless, it always had to be like yanked up at the shoulders and have length taken out of the shoulders. So like it would fit everywhere else. It would just be like too long. And some of that's probably also because I don't have a lot of boobs, so that could also be part of it. But I think it's a petite bodice thing. So in sewing patterns, I do what's called a petite bodice adjustment, and you actually just take length out of the shoulder and everything sits better, and yay, it's magical. I don't know how to do this in knitting, especially in, like, I don't knit a lot of, like, this is the first time, my little current vest situation is the first time I've knit sleeveless things. I don't have this problem when there are sleeves, or I don't notice it as a fit issue. So like in sewing patterns with sleeves, I don't usually make that adjustment because it just doesn't matter, because the sleeves kind of weigh everything down, like you don't notice it. So I don't know how to make this adjustment in knitting patterns. And I, again, was paying attention to other things, and it's okay. Like, this is how we learn. Sewing has made me fussier about fit and knitwear. But I was like, it's comfy, it's soft, it's like really fuzzy. I like the color. And I, was like, okay, well, I knew I'm seamlessly transitioning to my next segment. So I knew that I wanted to make 1940s style high-waisted trousers. And I was like, I wonder if the high-waisted trouser situation, and this vest would work. Spoilers, totally works. So I'm gonna insert a photo here, and not by me, I mean Steven. Thanks, Steven. Is going to insert a photo here so you can see what's going on, and we're gonna talk about pants. So I have just this week, I have sewn 2 pairs of the Wearing History smooth sailing trousers. I hope y'all are ready for like a whole lot of me talking about how much I love pants. I have not shut up about how much I love these pants for like 4 days. Oh my gosh. So they're freaking amazing. I am wearing, so this was my wearable. I'm not gonna, you know what? Like we're just gonna have to insert photos because the angle's weird. So trust me when I say these pants are amazing. They are very, very high-waisted. Except I learned this, they look really high-waisted. They hit me exactly at my natural waist. So that's a thing. So very high-waisted, late 1930s, early 1940s trousers. They have 2 tucks in the front. They have waist darts in the back. They have a waistband and they have a side zipper. And they are incredible. First of all, they are really easy to make. I'm glad that I've made things with waistbands and stuff before because I have a way that I like to do it. Like I've made enough pajama pants. I don't make a lot of trouser like standalone pants, but I've made overalls. I make pajama pants. I do things like that. And they were so easy to sew. It's assuming there's an optional belt and belt loops. If you don't do the belt and belt loops, it is 3 pattern pieces. Front pants, back pants, waistband. That's it. So really, really, really straightforward and a lot of bang for your sewing buck. So they look really put together. They feel like pajamas. Actually, they are more comfortable than my pajamas because in addition to having like a natural, really high, like I'm a high-waisted human. It's short-waisted, that's the term, but like I'm a high-waisted human is I am not shaped for modern pants. Like modern pants are like my body doesn't have anything to do with that. Oh, I will say just a little heads up. I am going to talk about my body shape. It is going to be as neutral as possible. I believe that they're bodies. Like there's no value judgment attached to them. It's just like this is how my body works. So if that is something that you would prefer that you were not exposed to, just letting you know. I'm about to talk about my body. So my entire life have struggled to find pants that fit. I am 5'2", and I am curvy in a way that is not the expectation by standard sizing. So I've always had trouble finding pants. So like everything was always, before I started buying petites, everything was too long. And I came of age in the late 90s and early 2000s when pants were super low rise. Gen Z, don't do it. Pants were super low rise. And so I would find pants that fit in the hips and the butt, and there'd be like 8 inches in the waist, like the gap of just because the sort of style was not to have a lot of junk in your trunk. And I have a lot of junk in my trunk, which I'm very proud of. So I've always struggled to find pants that fit. I was very, very lucky when I figured out that Banana Republic petites would work for me because their block was drafted for someone who was more like my body shape. But like still, I just never loved pants. As soon as I started taking control of my own wardrobe in my late teens, like it was skirts and dresses all the way. I'm more comfortable in them. I feel more like myself in them. Like I love skirts and I love dresses. I still do. I always will. These pants make me feel the way that I feel in skirts and dresses. So I actually added some length to the rise. I think some of that's with me being short-waisted. I think some of it's related to the fact that I just prefer not to have things touching I just don't want fabric touching my body. And so sort of more modern pant styles, like the rise is the crotch, right? It's length in the crotch. And so the crotch is like up and it's all up in my business and I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. The good news is vintage style trousers have really long rises. So this one is drafted, I think it's drafted to be kind of a compromise between like a really 1940s dropped crotch kind of situation and a more modern fit. I added half an inch back in and I am so comfortable. So that is amazing. They have a waistband, so they're structured, but there's like a lot of room. There's just a lot of room. I have my hips have a lot of room. My butt has a lot of room. Like I am so comfortable. And I'm really, really excited about these. This is kind of like, this is like the reason I learned how to sew is I have not as much as some people, admittedly, but my body shape is so out of whatever the sort of standard is. Like it just is. And so being able to find things that fit my body, but also my style. Like, let me tell you, there are not out in the world a ton of 1940s style trousers for someone who's 5'2". Like it's not a thing. So anyway, I am just absolutely over the moon. I'm doing that thing that I do that I'm trying to rein in a little bit, which is, oh my gosh, I found a thing I want. I need one in every color. But of course I have quite a few planned. And because they are so straightforward to sew, I feel like I can do that. I can squeeze a pair of these out of 2 yards of 54 inch 55 inch fabric, assuming it's not directional, which I'm mainly going for solids anyway. So it's actually a really effective way to use fabric, which is very exciting. So I made 2 pairs this week. I made a pair in my wearable muslin that I'm wearing right now are a garbage twill. I bought a bunch from Mood. I think it was $5.99 a yard, like really kind of heavyweight. And when I made these, I bought the fabric maybe in November because I knew I wanted to try pants. And so I bought it with a different pattern in mind. And it's heavier than probably these pants need, but I made them out of the garbage twill and I loved them. And I was like, oh, so if we love these in this not ideal fabric, like I am going to really love this pattern, and I really love this pattern. So I'm wearing the twill ones now. They are super comfortable. They're a little more structured. I also made a pair out of a 21 wale corduroy, which is a very fine, like if you think about the wales are the little stripes on corduroy, like they're really narrow and it drapes a little bit more like a velvet. So they're really soft. So those are lovely too. So I did those. I have zippers on the way because the pattern recommends that you use metal zippers if you want to be historically authentic, which I'm using a serger. I'm not historically authentic, but I am sold on metal zippers. Oh my goodness, it feels so much better, and the zipper install instructions are great. So I have zippers coming. So I have some linen cut. I also have some cotton linen blend. It's the Robert Kaufman Essex, which I really like for garments. It's a yarn dyed. I think there's like different lines. There's ones that are solid and ones that are like the cross weave is different. Sorry, it's pollen season. So anyway, I have some of those. I have a dusty purple and like a brown tweedy looking one. I have some mustard linen on the way. I found on Stone Mountain and Daughters a navy mini houndstooth linen. So anyway, there's spring and summer pants coming. I actually really love, as hot as it is in Georgia, I do love linen pants in the summer, especially ones like this that are just kind of breezy. They're going to be great. So I'm going to get lots of airflow. We love airflow, and I won't have to shave my legs as often, which is always good. So that is those pants. I like life-changing. Oh, and I rewatched an older Closet Historian video about making 1940s trousers, and Bianca was saying that was making a pair from an actual vintage pattern and added pockets, and it's the same pocket construction as the True Bias Riley overalls that I love. So the pattern doesn't come with pockets, but I can absolutely make pockets happen, and once I get pockets in these, like it's over. The other fun thing that happened is I have had a pair of boots in my closet I'm taking one off, I'm gonna show y'all. I've had a pair of boots in my closet for 6 or 7 years, and I bought them. They're Fry's. I bought them, like a long time ago. And I think they were on sale. And they've never, they don't look good with jeans or modern clothes, and I don't really wear dress pants. However, they look amazing with my new pants. So here are my boots. Kind of like menswear-y. I'm loving this. I'm loving this slight gender bending stuff. It's great. So I've got boots. I also ordered some sandals that are sort of period-ish inspired. So I will be set for late 1930s, early 1940s summer delightfulness. Related to the pants, I have also made another one of the blouse. So when you buy this pattern, and I do recommend that you do, I think there's 2 size ranges. This one is a 30-inch to a 40-inch waist, right? And I think it goes up to a 50. There's two size ranges, and the other one is drafted from a plus size block. So it's not just. I've heard from people that there can be weird sizing stuff. I have obviously not made those, but that is a thing. So there is a little bit bigger of a size range than the one that I'm using. So it comes with the trousers pattern. There's a shorts pattern, which is the trousers pattern, just short. And there is a blouse. I made this blouse. I think I talked about this. I made this blouse pattern and completely lost my mind. It's so good. I am not generally a collared shirt person, but oh my goodness, this one. So I made a wearable mock-up out of a cheapy ivory cotton lawn. I wear it all the time. It's one of those things, like how when you were a kid, how you love something and you would have to take it off and put it in the wash and then put it right back on. That's me with the shirt. I wear it 4 times a week. It's amazing. And once I made that one, I knew that I was going to want quite a few more because I'm me. And so I ordered some on sale dead stock Liberty Tana lawn fabric, and I finally cut into it on Thursday. So I'm gonna show you all this. The moaning. Sorry, you thought you were here for crafting stuff? No, it's just me making weird moaning noises about my clothes. It's not weird at all. So here it is. So this is the smooth sailing blouse. I love it. The fabric, I don't know if you can see. The fabric is, first of all, the Liberty Tana lawn is expensive as shit and totally worth it. I will say I got this blouse out of 1.5 yards, so it was less expensive than it could have been. I'm not going to be making pajamas out of it anytime soon. But it was so beautiful to sew with. It feels amazing. It's a really, really tight weave. It's such a tight weave, even though it's a lawn, and sometimes they can be kind of frayy. It barely, I finished all the seams, obviously, but it doesn't really fray when you cut it because it's such a tight weave. It feels amazing. I think it's going to wear beautifully. Also, this print is so cute. It has little blue flowers and strawberries on it. So I absolutely love this pattern. It's going to be my go-to blouse pattern. Also, I didn't make any sizing modifications, which is pretty much unheard of. That's not saying if you have to make size modifications, it doesn't make it a bad pattern. It's just, it's nice to not have to, because you usually have to make so many. Because it's a vintage fit, it's supposed to be loose in the bust, so I don't have to worry about, which is usually where my issues are, so I don't have to worry about that, which is great. And it comes together really beautifully. I will say, kind of with the pants, I'm glad I had made collared things before because I understood some of the construction and mechanics. The instructions are detailed, it's just not the way I would do it. And so the second time was much easier because I was like, oh, this is how this works. It's very straightforward, and it's just a really fun sew. It's really satisfying. There's nothing frustrating about it. There was nothing in this that made me, even the collar stuff, compared to the piped notch collars that I make, I'm like, oh, this is fine. So I absolutely love it. I'm really glad I have other fabrics for this. It's just such a go-to, and it is so, what I love about both of these, about the trousers and the top, is they're just, it's vintage, it's like late 30s, early 40s style distilled into something that is approachable for modern sewists. And that is fantastic. So here it is. So I love it. There will be more. I'm putting my sweater back on because I'm cold. Okay, so, I totally got off track, sorry. It's not linear. I love my pants, and they work with my, back to it, my Ribblesdale vest, so just all over the place. So anyway, one thing that I really have enjoyed about my 1930s, 1940s wardrobe project is how these pieces are so much in my style wheelhouse that they're seamlessly working in my wardrobe. So like the pants work with one of my one of my tried and true blouse patterns, which is the McCall's M8040, which is like a puff sleeve button down. It doesn't have a collar, but it's like a puff sleeve button down. It's perfect with these pants. Like it looks period appropriate. I'm not going for historical accuracy. Like I'm not like that, but like, it's evocative. And all of my knitwear seems to just kind of be working together really well. And it's just really satisfying and very fun. So I'm having a nice time. I will be making a lot of pants because they're comfortable to wear. And I do wear a lot of overalls, but it's nice to have a little bit of variety. Speaking of overalls, I tend to not have sewing whips. It's going to sound weird. I don't love sewing. I mean, I do, but I don't. I'm very much a product sewist. I am not going to spend a gazillion hours French seaming stuff and doing fancy little things. And I want the thing. Like I sew because I want the thing. I learned how to sew because I want the thing. I don't find it relaxing. I find it exhausting and stressful and just not as fun as knitting. Knitting I like almost every step of the process. There's no part of knitting I dislike. And it's just a soothing kind of thing. Sewing is not soothing. So I tend to not keep whips. However, I cut into my dream fabric that I've been hoarding to make a pair of Riley overalls. Here's the fabric. It is the exact color of my sweater. It's pond scum green. It's my favorite. So I have, the corduroy in this is kind of hard to find. So I ordered it and I've been stashing it and I was like, okay, I love the True Bias Riley overalls. I've made several pairs. Like it's time. I think I'll get a lot of wear out of pond scum green corduroy overalls. So I cut into it, which is fine. It's totally fine. And I sewed the bib and it was not totally fine. I did not have the walking foot. This is a finer whale corduroy. So it's that like my brown pants. It's a narrower whale corduroy and it's not as stable as the corduroys that I've been sewing with. And I was using my newish Juki machine and I didn't put the walking foot on and it like warped and it looks really messy. I don't have it in here, but it looks really messy. And I mean, I don't want it to look messy. This is my dream fabric. So I made the bib and I just got mad and threw it in a drawer like in maybe the beginning of February, end of January. And I was like, I can't deal with this because I knew I needed to recut the bib. Now I had extra fabric because I'm me and I ordered extra fabric and I did not have it in me to start again. So I finally this week recut the bib and the pocket so I can redo that. The Riley overalls are not hard, but it's 65 steps and I'm not exaggerating. So it's not my new trousers. It's like not an afternoon. It's like 2 days and I don't like to stop in the middle of sewing. I do have dedicated sewing space, but it's an ADHD thing, I am sure. But it is I need to finish the thing. I don't like having it undone. I don't like that. So I haven't started them yet, but they're there. I may start tomorrow. I've made the pattern a bunch. It's a lot of repetitive top stitching and I know what I'm doing. So, and the fabric is lovely and I do want the thing, but I need to do that. So pond scum green, best. So, what else? Oh, okay. One more thing I do have. Again, I did this yesterday. I really hope this one works because I'm not doing it again. So, in the new project department, in a different area, I have been a home hobbyist baker since I was in my teens. Like I think I was 16 when I started. So cooking predates everything fiber related. All of it, everything. Like it's been the constant. I've worked at cooking stores. I mean, I've been cooking seriously, but at home, but seriously since I was a teenager. And I am not afraid of a lot in the kitchen, but there is something I have always wanted to learn how to do that I am mildly terrified of, and that is doing laminated doughs. So a friend and I decided that this would be the year in which we learned how to make croissants. So I have 2 books. So Croissant Dozens and Loon. This one is Australian. This one's, that's right, the person who wrote this went to Georgia Tech, so local-ish. So I'm terrified. So laminated dough, so like croissants and I mean all those really good French pastries, all of them. So it is telling that both of these books are written by people who have professionally worked as engineers. Like it's a little terrifying actually. And it's a lot of precision. Like I'm a baker, but it's a lot of precision and temperature matters. And I mean, I need to show y'all I'm going to show y'all the diagrams. Just how you do it. The mechanics of this is pretty intense. Those are the diagrams. Let me tell you, when I roll out dough, it does not look like that. So I'm mildly terrified. There will be a lot of butter purchased, and you get to use the good stuff, so it's going to be like a lot of Kerrygold. So anyway, I would say I'm excited about it. It's weird doing something totally new in an area that you know a lot about. Because like at this point, after how many years, I'm often just on autopilot. Like I'm lazy sometimes, but in general, like there's not a lot in the kitchen that scares me. Like I have good tools, I know what I'm doing, like I have a good grasp of stuff. I've been practicing it for many, many years, and it's interesting to look at this and be like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. But I made pants. And sometimes the confidence that we gain in one area can hopefully translate to another. So I'll just be reminding myself when I'm like pounding out, $40 worth of butter with my rolling pin. I'm like, I made pants. It's okay. I made pants. So I think that's it. I thank you so much for stopping by. Oh, business stuff. See, look, there's a teeny bit of shameless self-promotion, but I put it at the end. So I am planning on a very mini shop update at the end of the month. So the date scheduled is March the 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It'll be Eastern Daylight Time. We're back on EDT. So Eastern Daylight Time, and it's going to be mostly spinning fiber. So I did not get spinning fiber done for the last update because one person. And so it'll be mostly spinning fiber. I have no idea how much to do. I have no idea. I have a vague idea of what I'm going to do. So if you are a spinner and there is a colorway you would like to see, please let me know. So that's a thing. And I think I'm also going to do some mini skein sets, and there will be buttons. Oh, I didn't talk about buttons. Let's talk about buttons. So there's going to be a mini shop update. Again, nothing like the last one was. There won't be bags or anything like that. I do have, this is my little teaser, because I was like, oh, I need to get that out there. I will be having a special event at the end of April on Saturday, April the 22nd. So sign up for the newsletter if you would like to be kept in the loop about that. It's fun. It'll be fun. So newsletter. Yes, do newsletter. Follow me on Instagram, Republica _Unicornia _yarns. You can find me here. You can find me on the internets at republicaunicornia.com. Okay, there's that. Let me talk about buttons real quick. I should not have caffeine before real caffeine before I do these. So if you are new, hey, I can't believe you're still here, but hey. I last year taught myself how to make resin buttons just because I needed buttons for clothes and I could never find what I wanted, and this is why I do things. So I made the buttons for this shirt. They have a pigment in them that is thermal color change. So I think they're 3 colors. It's like a darker red, a sort of lighter orangey red, and then yellow when they get really warm. So yesterday I was sitting outside in the sun and they were like all different colors. So I do make handmade buttons sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. This is actually, you can't see it, but this is actually the resin mold is a vintage button, so it's like kind of an Art Deco-y button, and I love it. So that's it. Buttons, fiber, yarn, make things. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. I hope you are making things that make you squeal like a 5-year-old girl, like I do when I make things that I like, and I hope you are prancing around feeling awesome about yourself, and I hope you have good snacks. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye.